your test when you start? Like I do the same thing. I do test 1 2, test 1 2, test and sound.
Maybe we should get a script.
Yeah, this is
similar.
Yeah, it'd be kind of funny to have something regular that you say every time. All right, so should we go ahead and press the button? Or do we want to wait for have a crowd? We don't care about the crowd, do we?
I don't know.
Nah, we don't care about the crowd. Let's go live.
Yeah.
Don't say that out loud.
Wait a minute. Did you say not to say that out loud? Now I gotta cut it? No, we're not gonna cut it. I gotta cut it. Are we gonna start all over, are you? Nah.
Just turn it all off.
Oh, but look, it is 9:01. We actually went live on time for 2 shows in a row.
There you go.
Oh,
Yeah.
rare
Hey.
moment in time.
Hey everybody, welcome. I know we don't have anybody here because we were so good. We went live within probably 30 seconds or we pressed start within immediately. So hey, if you're watching on YouTube, you can press subscribe. We've got like 30 subscribers now. It's slowly growing. It's coming along.
Okay.
Yeah. So welcome. We've got Bald Seagull here joining us today. And today Lex and I decided to go as our Twitch names as Daddio and Lex because that's how we know Bald Seagull the most.
Yeah.
So welcome. Welcome, Bald Seagull.
Thank you for having me. Very excited. This will be a lot of fun. Looking forward to this.
Oh man, I am super excited because I know you. You're my introduction to the Tetris 99 community pretty much.
Which is fascinating to me.
That's 100% true. You are my introduction to the Tetris 99 community. Because before you, I just Tetris 99, which is a game. Like the names on the other side of the screen were just they weren't anything. They were just letters on the screen. And it wasn't until you were like, oh yeah, you can do this thing called Twitch and play with me, and you showed me how to do a countdown and everything. So man, it's awesome having you here.
And this is just proof that all you have to do to feel like the experienced person is just be like one day ahead of the other person because I didn't know any of that. When I started. So
Secrets out.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's true. That's very, very true. It's a really good point, actually.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of seeing a little bit of that too. Yeah. So,
You were like, what?
No, go.
I was gonna say you were like one of the first few on our list of like dream guests. So this is really exciting. I was like, well, if we're gonna have streamers on, we have to have Seagull on. So thanks for doing this with us.
No, thrilled you asked. I was excited to see y'all start this show and happy to be part of it.
Yeah. Well, Lex, I guess that's good enough of an intro. Unless, you know what? We haven't done this in a bit. We haven't done the whole how was your day thing. We should do that. Because I've noticed that we need anchor points in these shows, because a lot of times these shows are just standalone things. Sometimes it's nice to know what happened today and this week and that kind of thing. So we'll start with you, Lex. What was your day like?
My day was good. I literally just worked all day. I think I got a promotion without money, but I don't know. So I'm excited to see what happens. Maybe get money out of fake promotion. So yeah, it was a good day. I just worked and made dinner, and now I'm here with you boys. What about you?
Your setup looks nice. You have some different depth going on.
There's a lot going on. I'm not at my home. I'm actually at my parents' house. So this is a day of setup. I don't know.
It looks really good.
You like it?
I do. It looks good.
Cool.
Well,
like this. We'll see.
We'll skip over you, Seagull, because you have the whole show to yourself. So you'll go last, because then you'll just take over the show. But I was super busy today. I worked all day and then got a call a message from my mother-in-law on Facebook Messenger. So I only use Facebook for 2 things, or really 3 things. It's Messenger to talk to people like my mother-in-law, and then the Tetris 99 group, and then occasionally I'll post photos just so they'll come up on the memories later. That's pretty much it. But anyway, she messaged me saying, hey, would you mind coming over helping us with this water damage? So for those of you who might not know, Texas underwent snowmageddon, coldest weather in almost 100 years, I think we experienced, and it was below freezing for such a long period of time that we actually lost power, and a lot of people lost water, and we lost internet for an extended period, like for multiple days. And it's actually my personal repair bills are up to $6,000 already. So and then I got a call from my mother-in-law asking me to come over and help her some stuff. So back and forth. I literally just got home from helping them 30 minutes ago. So
you made it.
I made it home though. Made it. Was able to get some tacos on the way home and have a little bit to eat. But it was a busy day. But yeah, looking forward to the weekend because tomorrow I'm going to visit my parents and got lots of exciting stuff happening. But enough about me. I'm tired of talking already. Oh, but
that was it.
Yeah, I'm tired, man. That was a lot of words.
I gotta ask. So is it warm in Texas now? Is the ice gone and it's just the recovery?
Yeah, so it was beautiful. It was absolutely beautiful Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, and I was working outside, and everybody was really celebrating Texas life again. It was almost like, oh my gosh, welcome back to Texas. And then today it was cold and rainy, so I was like, dang it, I am so tired of being cold. But it's not freezing, obviously, but it's not sunny either. But yeah, we're almost
It's
through
funny because I've heard you say how you don't like it in the cold, and I just love I love snow. I love the cold. So different, different.
Well,
different people.
I think I could love it if it was the right setup for it, right? So it's if I had, I think it was somebody I worked with told me that there's no such thing as bad weather, only bad clothes. I was like, oh, that's a really good way to look at it. I feel like Texas is the same way. Like we just simply weren't prepared for this, and it was almost like it's just like with anything else. If you're not prepared for it, then it's gonna suck. So if I was used to it and we had all the right accommodations for it and all that kind of stuff, I'm sure I could grow to love it. Because hey, man, I like being inside too. What I really like the most is sunshine. I don't mind it being cold as long as it's sunny. I love the sun. So like Denver, even though it's cold, I think might be a nice place to live because they get like 300 days of sunshine a year. And I want to live somewhere else. I feel like I have lived in Texas my whole life, besides all of my life I can remember. So I'd love to live somewhere else. So if you have any suggestions on places that I could do with sunshine, and it doesn't have to be hot, but I do need that sunshine. And then like the wind, no way, can't do the wind. So can't do like a city like Chicago, Cleveland.
Okay.
I don't think anything northeast would work for me. But what I'm thinking it might be next would be Florida, Colorado, something like that. So who knows?
I think you'd like Colorado more for some reason.
Yeah. Who knows? But I just realized I'm in my work shirt, so I was gonna change. I'm gonna change real quick. I have my other shirt here, so I'm gonna just step off while you guys talk real quick.
Yeah, sure.
All right, bye.
I'm right here.
Should we start this thing?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank goodness, Daddio.
I'm still here. I can hear you.
I'm still here. Come on.
Mhm.
I mean, I think we should get started. So, tell me your whole life story. I'm just kidding. I'm kind of kidding. Let's just talk about Baby Seagull. I'm curious about him. I feel like,
Of course.
yeah, I feel like I don't know much about you, like in general, except that you're like the Twitch
Like
data.
Tetris.
No, exactly. Yeah. So let's just kind of start from the beginning, like where you grew up, hobbies as a kid, the beginning.
Yeah. So I was born in upstate New York, but I moved from there when I was 3. With folks, I have a family history with IBM, which I know Daddio worked at for a short time.
Yeah.
Like my grandfather worked there, my dad worked there, so we moved down to North Carolina, and where I grew up in Raleigh, so I kind of associate myself with North Carolina when people say, where are you from? Just since I moved there when I was 3 and I lived there for so long. So down in areas Research Triangle Park, and I lived in Raleigh, and everyone there calls IBM I've been moved because everyone came from the north down there. It's a big acronym down there. So, but I lived there, all the way through high school. That's where I grew up and everything. So I mean, can't complain. Nice. You know, I'm one of 5. I got 3 sisters, a little brother, good parents, extremely caring, always looking out for us. So, no complaints about my childhood. Did a lot of sports. You know, we played baseball, basketball. We had, like, every neighborhood where I grew up had a pool, like a little community pool, and we'd like face each other in swimming and diving and tennis. So we do that in the summers. So lots of little, you know, just neighborhood fun activities like that.
Yeah.
And then of course I love video games too.
But
It's weird. I was thinking about this. Yeah, I don't know if I should go on with like non-video game life and then come back to video game life.
Well, you played sports in school, right? Like, how far did you go with that?
I did. I played tennis in school and I did wrestling in school.
Wow.
Yeah, but then the main thing I was actually into, which was kind of random at the time, was roller hockey. So we kind of got into that. That was, I think it was like around 6th grade or something. We had one guy, maybe 2 guys, who played ice hockey. And for whatever reason, like a bunch of us in the neighborhood just got into it and just caught on. So every day after school, we'd go out, everyone got rollerblades and we had the goals. And this is like about the time where Mighty Ducks came out. So like we were basically like trying to be like the Mighty Ducks, like going around skating, playing in cul-de-sac and just having a great time. And we would just do that. And we would actually like challenge other neighborhoods, like the kids in other neighborhoods. They would make a team. We'd go and get jerseys. We actually like wrote to companies to be like, will you send us a jersey? And they would send like a plain jersey. It was awesome. But like, you know, there would be other neighborhoods who got into it and they're like, all right, we're going to make a team and come face you guys and everything. And we were like, this is all right, cool. So it got pretty competitive amongst ourselves. Then we'd go on and we like would start to look for like, we heard like some rinks had teams. This is like, I'm going to call them skating rinks. Like, you know, and the rinks like had teams and we would like call and be like, do you guys have tournaments? Like, can we come? So like the rinks would have official teams and then we show up. Like they had coaches, had real teams. And it was just like a group of kids who would just come show up. I don't know if they were practicing like once a week or whatever. Or we just played every day, but like we would actually do pretty well in those tournaments. So we had a great time with that. It was a lot of fun. I mean, that carried on for so long. We'd go on, kind of like became a big, like the Tetris community, how that like you meet more people and you branch in, you get to know more people.
Yeah. That's
what we would do with like the roller hockey community, because it's not like there were that many of us, but then we'd be like, oh, so-and-so plays ice hockey. Now they want to come play, and you know somebody who they want to come play. And so we kind of like started making, basically the people who really stuck with it go on and play like in regional tournaments. So we went to some small national tournaments there. Had a blast with it. It was a lot of fun.
I didn't even know this was a thing.
Yeah. Everything's a thing. Everything's a thing. If your question is it a thing? The answer is yes.
Everything's a thing, absolutely. And I mean, skipping ahead a little bit, but since it's on the roller hockey thing, you know, it kind of like led in. I remember I went to college, and the college I was at, UNC, didn't have like a roller hockey club, but then there was like a guy who wanted to found one. So we founded the club, and there was like 8 of us. And then like the other colleges, they had roller hockey clubs. So it's like you know, I think there's a club sport for pretty much everything at most of the colleges. But you know, we went on and we would go play all the other colleges. Did that for 4 years, and there's a pretty formal league for it. It was a blast. Did that for 4 years in college.
Wow.
Then kind of just dropped off. Yeah, that kind of was like my big college activity, I would say, was being part of that roller hockey team. That was a lot of fun.
Wow. So, and that was in you stopped when you were 22 or so?
Yeah.
4 years of college? Wow.
I dropped off. Well, I did my master's of accounting degree right after that. So it was like a 1-year thing. So I did play that year too, because it was at the same college. But then after that, until I was about 23. And then I don't really know why I stopped. I just stopped. I don't know. It's kind of like, oh, I guess I'm out of college. So
does family life take over?
No, not at that time. My 20s, I was just I had all the time in the world. But I think it was just more at that point, just work and going out and doing stuff with friends and traveling and stuff like
Yeah.
that. It just kind of dropped off, and I got other interests, I would say.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
As anything always happens.
Yeah.
And then, of course, video games, I'm assuming, were...
Yeah.
Part of
So
the forte?
video game wise, yeah, absolutely loved it. My dad, like I said, he worked at IBM, so he was very much into computers in general. Like, he would love to bring stuff home and everything. And he was a big Atari guy, like, when that came out. Like, much like, people here trying to get the new Xbox or PlayStation, like, it was whatever Atari was out there. And I remember he always loved to tell the story how he bought the Atari back in the 70s or 80s and, like, for $600. Now he's like, I did it because I really wanted that thing. So yeah, I mean, I will always stick to, I have no idea why anybody complains about video game prices these days, because they have not inflated over 30 years.
I know, they really haven't.
Like they're bargains for the amount of time you get to spend on these games.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he was an Atari guy and a Commodore 64 guy. So those were like my first two, I'd say, systems that I
Are you
played
older
back
than
when.
me?
I think we're about the same age, but
Oh,
I
man.
started really young.
You did start really young.
Yeah, I mean, he just had them and they would play. And the games were so simple back then, where it's like was really easy for anyone just to pick up and play. So I did have a few props. I have a few old games I've always kept as mementos. So these are some of the Atari's 2600 games that he actually had. So we have the crappiest game ever. People would say E.T. We would play it.
Love it. You have it? Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
You should stream this.
Oh God, no. I think I need 80 connections to stream an Atari.
That's fair.
You got Video Olympics, which has Pong on it, which we'd play.
Wow.
Go back, and you notice on these things, it's probably going to show up in reverse, but they're numbered. There's like different games on here, numbered like 1 through 50. So they would advertise these things as having 50 games on this cartridge, and you'd press a button to try to cycle through all the different modes and the 50 games on there. It was fun. And then I thought this was so cool, Video Pinball.
Oh yes, I kind of remember that.
Simplistic.
Yeah.
Let's see what else. I just want to show this one because I know this is one of my dad's favorite. Missile Command. We would play all the time. And I still, if I see this in the arcade, I have to go play that right now. So I keep those. I actually sell a lot of things that I buy, but those are a couple things I actually hold on to just as kind of a memento.
That's awesome.
That yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah, he got me. No, well, I'll tell you what. To be honest, if you go to like a local, you probably got a retro game store in the area, and Atari games are dirt cheap, so you'll find them. But yeah, most people aren't buying them or playing them these days.
Right.
Yeah. But if you want to get to the really hard stuff to find, so I was the one kid in the neighborhood who did not get the Nintendo. We had the Atari 7800. So
yeah, I remember that one.
You remember that? Like what happened was Atari realized Nintendo came out. It's a great new system, had better graphics.
Yeah.
And they needed to do something to compete. So they came out with the Atari 7800. If I remember right, I think one of the big things about it is that they never even bothered improving the sound compared to the 2600. So it was unfortunately pretty inferior to it. But I thought it was cool. And I kept a couple of those games too. So they got like a lot of the arcade ports. Like I got Exevious here, which I love that game. That was cool.
Nice.
And then some ones that you'll know, like Galaga.
Yes.
Plays very well actually on the 7800. And Miss Pac-Man, which is one of my just favorite games, period.
Yeah.
And then Food Fight was one of my other favorite
Food Fight,
games.
I remember Food Fight for sure.
Remember Food Fight?
Yeah.
This arcade cabinet's no joke to find. Like it's a pricey one. I love those were the games I loved playing growing up. They're super simple, and I actually bought an Atari 7800 because they'll play the 2600, so I can actually play these games if I want to.
Wow.
I don't think I can stream them. I think I need some more connections for those.
Yeah.
But it's a blast to every now and then I'll put them on. I had this idea that I was like, these games will be great because they're so simple. My kids will love them. I realized there are newer games that are much better that are also simple that they like more.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
they haven't really latched onto those too much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Do you
yeah,
do you
so
go to any local arcades and all of that? You gotta talk with
I
me on that.
love arcades. Absolutely.
Yeah.
There's a barcade near me. Unfortunately, COVID. The poor place opened like
Yeah.
right before COVID. We made it down before.
Yeah.
But if I see an arcade, I mean, yeah, my wife knows like we have to stop for a little bit. And I always go to the Miss Pac-Man machine. Pretty good at Miss Pac-Man, and I always have to do that. I don't know why. It's just what I gravitate towards. So I bought at some point Impulse a arcade cocktail table. So it's like flat ones you sit on.
Yeah.
And I got one of those 60-in-1 things to put in it. So I can't bring it over to show you.
Wow.
I got one of those because I always said I wanted something like that, and there was something that popped on Craigslist one day, and I was like, "That's it, have to get it." I think I had just gotten a new job that day, so I gave myself a reason to.
That is amazing, man.
Yeah.
Who knew?
It's no, it's been fun too, and I know I'm jumping around, but who cares?
Oh, who cares? You're gonna...
Nobody.
Yeah.
Nobody.
But the arcade cabinet's fascinating because. This is like a Facebook thing. Like, I didn't realize people actually collect arcade cabinets and try to like make mini arcades in their room. You know, people like do this. They have like arcades in their basements. And then it was like so easy to find out like how to take the arcade like cocktail table apart and actually do stuff to it. Like, it came with just a Miss Pac-Man board. It's like super easy to take it out and put in a 60-in-1 board with the connections and a little rewiring. Because I actually don't have like a fire button because it's Miss Pac-Man and all you do is take the the stick and move Miss Pac-Man around.
Oh yeah.
But they have a first player and a second player thing, so I had to rewire it to make like second player a fire button so I could play games like Galaga without a fire button and stuff like that. This worked out pretty well, but thank you, Internet, for teaching me how to do these things.
I'm gonna say you have way too much trust in yourself. I would never.
It kind of got to the point where I was like, I'm not really using it enough, so what the hell?
Yeah, exactly.
If it
At
doesn't
some
work
point,
out,
what
I'm
does it
sure I
matter?
can sell it for scrap or something
Good
like
point.
that, and somebody will definitely take it and be like, this idiot said to do this.
What did you do?
Right.
Oh man. What did you want to be when you grew up?
Computer spaceman when I was 5.
Computer
That was it.
spaceman?
Computer spaceman. That's what my mom would always tell you. Computer spaceman. She loves that story. I don't know when I said it, but I wanted to be a computer spaceman.
Do you know what that means?
That's wrong indeed, I'm sure.
But I can only imagine at that point in my life, like I don't know, maybe I saw someone, an astronaut or something.
Yeah.
I got excited.
On a computer.
Yeah.
That's my job.
No, I think growing up, I probably wasn't the most focused person on career, but if I had something I had to pick, it was probably, I thought I, would like to make video games, I remember.
Yeah.
On there. Where it didn't end up doing that, that's what I would think growing up, I would say. I always liked computer, love video games, so, yeah.
And then what did you become when you grew up?
What did I become? So let's see. So I'll lead into it. We'll add some,
I like it.
background
I
to
like it. I like it.
So with the computer background, I was able to get internships at IBM. So they I think I did my first summer was really funny. They hired me because they had an internship spot, but they really didn't have a ton like specific for me to do. I remember my first day, I was supposed to be your one manager, didn't come pick me up. I think I ended up under another manager. They were like, we gotta do something with this guy. They basically were like, what do you want to do this summer? I was like, well, I want to make video games at some point. They were like, okay, well, you can learn a couple of programming languages. So I remember OpenGL and I think it was TickleTK at the time. And learned how to make checkers. And like, I basically made a game. Yeah, I was getting paid for it. And then, if they had odd jobs, they would call me to do that. And I'd help out with like whatever odd jobs they had, like, update a bunch of software in a server or something like that. I would do that. But I did good enough apparently where they took me back, and then I worked in a test lab there, which was really cool actually. So
what did you do there?
I think I'm trying to remember. I want to say it was like Windows 95 time or maybe XP. I can't remember, or maybe it was both. But basically, so They had some server software they were rolling out, but they needed to test it on just all kinds of different environments to make sure, just try to break it and see what bugs they would get and bring it back to the programmers. So they would give me a test case scenario, and I would just set it up and let it run. And so I might have like 12 environments around me to set up and let them go for an hour. So it was fun. I mean, it was basically that. It was fun because the guys I worked with, they were super cool, and they're probably like me now. They loved video games, and I remember there was a little break room there, and break room had at the time like a 4 PC setup and a LAN. They just loved setting up the tests to run and trying to get to the break room to go play this game Half-Life for an hour, which was like the computer game.
Oh yeah, I kind of remember that.
Yeah, I would have never played it if it wasn't for them. They were like, all right, let's go play Half-Life. And they would destroy me. I'm the guy who's probably supposed to be good, and they would destroy me. And if I was playing Half-Life, this is fun. And they'd be like, hey, we got to work on the weekend. You might get some overtime. And I was like, okay. But then we'd set up the test to go play Half-Life. I mean, we had to do the work, but you can't do anything while the test is running. You set it up, they run, you're just sitting there. Unless something bugs out, and then you report it. So I did that at IBM. And then I actually did that for 2 summers. So I like that. And I would have been cool with that. But then I think at that summer, there was a hiring freeze at IBM, and they just weren't hiring anybody.
Yeah.
So I got a little concerned about just in general, I guess, computer field. And my dad was there, and at that moment, I would say, it's been very good now. But at that moment, it wasn't doing too great, I guess. I know that sounds crazy, but they just weren't hiring right then. I wasn't going to get a job right then with them. So I remember I was like, all right, my dad, one of the things my father always instilled with me is like, whatever you do, make sure you pick something where you will be able to support yourself and make some money. That's really all I care about. He didn't care what I did. So I was always, computer guy, math guy growing up. I kind of looked to see like who's hiring where. And I saw that if I got a Master of Accounting degree, everyone's getting hired out of that. No problem. So went and got the masters, and I got hired. And people were getting hired like, well before their year's over. And when you do that degree, you typically most people choose between a track and tax or a track and audit. I chose tax, and I've been doing tax ever since.
Now you haven't, how many different job titles have you had? And like the tax, what's that progression been like?
I'm trying. So I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I probably worked at 6 different places.
Okay.
So it's definitely been incredible where I've never had an issue getting a job. Like I've always moved to a job on my own accord. And I've been very fortunate in that sense. So it's not necessarily, dreamiest career in the world or the sexiest career in the world to other people, but the fact that I've never had any concern about having a job has been pretty amazing. It's something I definitely don't take for granted, because I know it's not the case for everybody out there. And
Sure
I would all I know and at some point my wife, we moved from North Carolina to Connecticut, where I live now, and my wife, it was for an opportunity for my wife, and she was looking at me. I remember she was really nervous because it was right before we were getting married, and she's like, I got this opportunity, but they want me to move. And it's funny because Daddio mentioned like, I wouldn't mind living somewhere else. That's kind of how I felt. I was like, I've lived in North Carolina like forever. Wasn't thinking about what my family would think, but I was like, I'd like to live somewhere else. Found out later they were like, they didn't like seeing me leave as much, but we've gotten over it. I was lucky to be in a career, a job where I could move up to Connecticut and find a job, with relative ease, I guess. It's not like, I walk in and they give me a job. I have to apply to several. But I was able to get a job there so she could do her thing. So that was great.
Yeah. It's like, I feel like no matter where you live, they always need teachers. They always need accountants. They always need, there's certain careers that are just staples and you can do pretty much anywhere. And then there's other
Sure.
careers like electrical engineering and like things that are very specific, and like you have to move for those jobs. They're just different kind of jobs. And like my brother-in-law is, works for basically, they've had to move all over the place because the jobs are in very specific locations. And that can be a bit hard, I think. So I definitely appreciate, like, when you call it like the boring thing. I mean, boring means stable and reliable. I think there's a lot to be said for that. So I'm with
If
you.
the job is boring, maybe the life is more fulfilling because you're able to.
You have a chance to do things like
Absolutely.
Twitch, like
I mean,
stream on
it's
Twitch. And...
given me the opportunity to do lots of things. I had one of my tax jobs was a consulting job where I traveled all across the country. So that was really cool. I got to see tons of different places there. Yeah, I work in a cubicle. I mean, I do. I live the cube life. When I'm not working from now I'm living the dream at home, right?
Man, it's the best.
And they're way open to. They're very flexible. It's great, and they're willing to let me work at home when I need to. Like, I don't ever have to say anything if I mean, definitely right. Whatever your job is, do a very good job, and they'll be lenient with you when you say I got to get to it, take care of something. But yeah, it's definitely allowed me to not worry about a lot of things out there. So that's good.
Yep.
Has COVID messed with it at all, or just in like the work from home?
Fortunately, we had to get used to work at home. So whereas like maybe you're trying to send things out the door, compile returns to get out the door, get things signed, just adapting to electronic signatures, or a lot of the states decided to. This is just an interesting thing for me with COVID in general. A lot of the states like pushed everything back like 3 months, and COVID lasted like a year. So I don't know, like it was a good intention at the time when we were figuring out what in the world we're doing, but at some point they were like, now you got to figure out how to get it in there. It's like, it's not that different. But it was fine. We managed. I don't think we changed everything from our perspective, and our team's done a great job adapting to that. So it's all about flexibility. Just got to roll with it.
Yeah.
Is there talk of going back into an office with you guys? Or
I go back myself occasionally, and nobody's there, so it's amazing.
It is.
Because it's like super quiet. I park right next to the door compared to what I'm used to. But I think they're looking for my job. They're talking about late summer, early July. I mean, they're not pushing anybody back. Like they want everybody to be comfortable. They talk about a phased approach where like we'll take volunteers first. Like they do not want to make anybody feel uncomfortable. I mean, there are some people who have to be there, like security has to be there and things like that. If you don't have to be there, they honestly would prefer you're not there. They don't they don't want the people, like too many people like me who are like, it's a little quieter there. I wouldn't mind stopping in today to get a lot of stuff done.
I've gone into the office one time, or no, two. So we have in the Dallas area two offices. We have a fairly large corporate or like operations headquarters that had like over 100 people. That's where our people like call center people who would handle the mail, stuff like that, would work out of. And then we would have our corporate headquarters, which is like where sales, accounting, development team, salaried employees worked out of. They've kept that office open because it's much smaller footprint, but we've gone 100% remote and closed off the other one. So now all those people who are now that were all coming into the office just to take phone calls, we're now able to be remote, which in a way, like, thank you COVID for preparing us for Snowmageddon, because now, even though no one was able to, like in the past, that would have totally been shut down our business for a week. But because we had been prepared for the whole remote thing, that was a nice side benefit. So I'm hopeful that the whole working remote thing can stick around for a lot of people, because I think it's pretty apparent that, like, you know what? Yes, there's benefits of going in and being face to face, but there's also like real benefits of not having a commute. There's real benefits that I'm hopeful that a lot of people can start to see.
I think it gives a lot of people flexibility. I think I mean, COVID is a terrible thing, absolutely, but it's been an accelerator, as we know, for a lot of things that people have looking for, like work from home, flexibility. I think more and more people, are looking for a flexible work arrangement. They want to know, they like the idea of being able to work where they want, when they want.
Yeah.
And my advice to anybody looking for that, just show your bosses you can do it.
Yep.
When you get the opportunity to do it, just get your stuff done and show him or her there's no difference, and probably more likely to do it. Because I know for our work, that's what they've been saying. They're like, well, we can't pretend like you can't do it anymore, because you can, and we got to figure something out where we don't want everything. But it's also given us the ability to hire people away from our offices. Like if there's somebody who lives a bit far away, then it's a little easier to bring them in, or you don't have to tell them like you have to move here. Like we can try to figure something out. So
exactly.
Yeah, I'm all for it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I was hired on during COVID in a corporate job.
Okay.
So it's one of the strangest environments. There's talk of going back July 1st. They have not pushed back yet. So
okay.
And so it's one of those like new corporate open concept, like hundreds of people, and we're all like, so I'm curious what like other companies are implementing and how it's working, with everybody else, and what the mindset is, because it's sounding pretty legit. And I'm like, are we ready for this? I don't know. I don't really come from corporate, so we'll see what happens.
No, I mean, I think that's fascinating, because I think a lot of the places you see it, and a lot of like I said, I've had consulting jobs where I go to various businesses and I see how they work, and like groups are close to each other. And then there's been a progression to office areas that don't have walls, because we were trying to
open concept,
foster open communication and more inclusivity, which is great. But all of a sudden,
for COVID.
Yeah, this happened. It's like environmental things. Like, we did a thing where it was like, we're trying to get people to reduce the amount of cups they're using. Use a reusable cup for your coffee, things like that. All of a sudden it became like, no. Single-use cups. It changed so many different things that they tried, so many good things that people were trying to implement, just kind of flipped it on its head a little bit. So I think it'll be fascinating to see like how certain habits are kind of, what happens to those even after we say everything's okay. Like, is it appropriate for me to still shake someone's hand? Like, when is that appropriate now, or is it kind of like it's a no-no?
Right.
Just random things like that. Like it'll just be all these little interesting things that we'll figure it out.
Yeah, I wonder if bowing is gonna become a thing.
Bowing,
waving. Yeah, you want to bow? Yeah.
I got the wave down. I don't know if I'm gonna get the wave down.
Still not used to the elbows. I get the elbow every now and then, and I'll do it, but I'm just not like ready for it, so it's always awkward. So they'll do it, and I'm like, it's like, it's cool, but I'm just not ready for someone to do it, and I'm not cool enough to actually throw it out there, unless it's like maybe my brother. I don't know.
Yeah, I've gotten that one too, and I'm like, it's too bro-y.
Yeah.
It's something.
Yeah, it's interesting times for sure. But I mean, it's definitely allowed, people to be home, maybe have the Twitch outlet, which is my next topic if we're ready, because I'm curious.
Go for it. I'm excited for this one.
Well, so you two especially, like, are the two that I have defined on Twitch as like the dads of Twitch. If that makes sense.
That
like,
makes sense.
Absolutely.
You're like super dads, right? So I know
like
you're
that
like
way,
a family guy, work guy, and the Twitch guy. Okay. So I kind of wanted to talk to you about family and how of course how you found Twitch and how you juggle it all, because it seems wild as a person who has only one of those things, Twitch.
Right.
So,
I don't know that I do necessarily, but I try. So
it looks
we
good.
try, right?
Yeah,
exactly.
It doesn't look like you try very hard, so I guess that's the sentiment to Faking it till you make
It's all
it.
about looking good when the camera's on.
Well, what is your so we I guess we should probably discuss what is your family life, because we kind of skipped. We went from you graduated college and you were a rollerblading star, and then you became a accounting rock star, and then what's your family life though? What's that like? So when we talk about dad life and Twitch life and balance, what does your family life look like?
Yeah, so eventually I was very fortunate to meet my wife, and for some reason she decided to marry me, which I'm grateful for. And we eventually moved up to Connecticut, and we have 2 daughters right now, 6 and 4. Fantastic family. I'm less lucky. They're great. But it's funny because I think like kind of took a pause from video games. If we have time later, remind me for more video game stories from earlier. But there's like, you know, I took a little pause when I moved up. I was doing other stuff. And I learned that when you have a kid, you're kind of bound to the home a lot, especially at night. Like you're not really going out, you're not really doing stuff. You're kind of staying at home. So I was like, I remember I was like, you know, we were talking, I was like, I'm just, you know, my wife would rest as well when she's freaking working and, you know, taking care of kids too. And I was like, sometimes, you know, I'm just trying to think of something to do, like when everyone's kind of like, you know, get this free time. You know, I think it'd be cool. Like this is before I even realized like there was a retro game scene. I was like, I think it'd be cool to get like an old Nintendo and like just get a couple games to play, like, you know, just to do. And I went to the store and I told them I want this.
Which one is it?
What's the game? Oh, sorry, golf.
Oh, golf. Got it.
Yeah, that wasn't as dramatic.
It worked.
Looked at me like I was an idiot because they were like, it's like apparently a game that nobody wants. But I always like golf video games. And I was like, no, that's what I want. They're like $3. I was like, sweet. All right, cool. In Nintendo, they were like, no, you need a Retron 5. So if you haven't heard of these things, they play like Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis, and like all the Game Boys.
Oh, a
so
Retro
play,
Pie?
Like, that's not like Retron 5.
Okay.
They're they're mixed reviews on how well they work.
Right.
I had to get the guy to give me like 3 of them before I found one that actually worked. He ended up giving me the one that was on display. Like I brought it home and I called him like, I can't get this thing to load. He's like, all right, bring it in. And it's funny because we were playing golf. He's like, you're really playing this shit? And I was like, yeah, that's what I want to play.
Exactly.
Here.
Yeah.
Eventually I got that to work and I was like playing, you know, like I'd start to pick up some random games and everything like that, including our favorite, Tetris 64.99 or anything. And it was cool because when I picked that one up, it just like randomly had the instruction booklet. So I even had the old instruction booklet. It was a lot of fun.
What? That's cool.
Yeah. So I gotta show you this part.
I was gonna say, I want to know the instructions for Tetris.
Yeah, hold that instruction book up here. We got to see that one more time.
It's got a pro tip for you. So let me get this on. This is just in case you ever get in a pickle. Let's see if I got that. Shows you how to slide the piece in.
There we go.
Wait.
Other way. There it is.
Yeah.
There it is.
That's everything. Wow.
This is how to slide the piece in there. I was cracking up looking at that today. Yeah, like I got a bunch. What's that?
How to Tetris.
Tetris. They show you. It's great.
That's how we know.
I got really into like. The more I picked up these games, like I found a couple stores and like you know, like pawn shop type places where people would drop them off and go anything. Then at some point I realized like there's this whole collecting scene, which I had no idea. Like people obviously, I mean, I know now are nuts about collecting old Nintendo games. So I've learned like, you know, anything I think like I'm original with, I'm not. Like everyone else is doing it. But I kept like, I collected like literally like if I found a deal, I'd get it. And I think at one point I had like 120 Nintendo games, which was completely unnecessary. I think I only have like 20 now. I sold them. But I was just picking them up.
So many.
That is a lot.
I was like, some of them I wasn't even playing. And then my wife was looking at me like, what are you doing with these? I was like, no, I'm collecting them. She's like, you are what? You're not even playing them. I was like, no, it's cool. It's cool. It's fine. Don't worry about it.
Don't worry. All my friends think I'm super cool.
Yeah, absolutely. This is, mind you, this is like before I'm even like on Facebook or Twitter. I'm not even sharing this with anybody. I just have it like down in my. I don't even know where I'm even talking to people about this. Maybe it was a couple Facebook groups. My brother got into it too, so that helped. But I did that for a while, and I never. Then like the Switch came out, and I think like I was listening to podcasts about like retro game collecting, and somehow I started hearing people talking about the Switch and just going nuts about Breath of the Wild. And I was like, okay, maybe I'll get this. And I happened to go to Target like the second day it was out, and they just happened to have them there. So I was like, all right, I'm buying this.
Yep.
Back into Switch, and Breath of the Wild I think is freaking amazing. I played that for tons and tons of hours because it was like one of the only games out.
Yeah.
There was only 5 games when it released, so I would just sit there playing, and it was like time would fly by in that game. I never like really had a game like that for me where I'm walking around in there battling some stuff, doing a puzzle. This game is flying by. This is awesome. I got that, but then Puyo Puyo Tetris came out very early too. So I had to pick that up because I like Tetris. I would do these online battles, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. You can battle people online, and so I would think I'm pretty good. Then I'd find somebody who just looked like they knew exactly where to put every piece. Yeah. And I was just like, I don't know what these people are doing, but like, I don't know. I didn't know about all the setups and everything. I just had no clue. I was like, what are they doing? Have they just like, I just didn't get it.
Yeah.
Couldn't even describe it. I didn't know if they were setting it up or how they memorized it. I was just like dumbfounded because at the time, like I didn't realize people were playing like Tetris DS and all the old Tetris games like that. I just thought, for me, it was just Tetris.
Right.
And I'm in the crew who like didn't know there were T-spins and stuff like that. I didn't know.
Exactly.
Well, you know, I think at some point I learned that there was such thing as a combo, and I would try to build like 3 wells because I was like, that seems to knock people out. Side things were shunned or whatever. I was just like, all right, that seems to help. This seems like I get a little more wins.
The first strategy.
Right, yeah. So, Nintendo life keeps going. I'm buying random games and playing them. But, we all know Tetris 99 came out. And I picked it up. I saw it and I was like, I got to play this thing. Because it's free. And I got a win like pretty early. It was like my first or second game, and I'm just like, and I feel like you hear this story a lot, it's like someone they're like, I got a win, this is awesome.
Yeah.
I looked around, it's like, I have no one to tell this to. Who do I tell? I was like, at this time I didn't know what Discord was, I didn't know what Reddit was. I had a Facebook account. I'm like, I don't know, like, and I was kind of aware, like, that people have Facebook groups. I'm in Facebook groups. I'm like, I didn't realize there were these giant groups for video games. I wish I'd known earlier. I looked online, and I remember, because this is funny for me to look back and think of, like, I searched like Tetris 99, and I saw there was no groups. I was like, screw it, I'm gonna start one. Let's just see what happens. I mean, no expectation. I know what to do. I was like, all right. Remember, it was like there was one like Tetris 99, maybe Italia, I think. So I started it, and I put a picture up of like the win. And then I remember looking for like news articles because at the time there were still reviews on Tetris 99. It's like, all right, I gotta make this thing legit. I'm gonna post like whatever reviews I can get to make it seem like, this is like the source of Tetris 99 news. Mind you, not realizing like, there's probably like a Reddit all about this. There's a Discord group being formed, and I had no idea what hard drop was. So they were probably on top of it too. But that's okay.
I didn't know any of those things either. You're the man who showed a lot of people. Like no one else knows those things either.
I think that's what I learned along the way, that it was okay that I didn't know it, right? Like it was okay. It was still like, because I learned as I guess the journey continued that like this was a good place for a lot of people they were looking for the same thing I was looking for.
Yep.
Like not all of us used Reddit or Discord, and we were just like, there were people like me who were just like, hey, I'm just looking for some place to talk Tetris 99 with people, and I'm on Facebook, and I searched Tetris 99, and I found you guys. Exactly. I remember, so I made my wife become a member. I looked at her, I was like, hey, you gotta join this thing. She's like, why? And I was like, I can't just have one. No one's gonna join the thing if it says one. They're gonna be so you gotta make at least 2. And then I called my brother, and I told him he has to join. And so we had 3 members. And I was like, okay, see what happens. Then I just remember getting so excited when like the first other person joined. I was like, oh my gosh, like another person joined. This is crazy. And I would sit there like I'd be looking at my alerts like, oh my gosh.
Oh, of course.
Joined.
Yeah.
Like it would be like, you know, it'd gradually roll in there 1 or 2 a day or somebody.
Right.
And I, you know, before I knew it, there was like 100 people. I was like, oh my gosh, we have enough for a real game. Like we could play Tetris 99 with 99 people. It was a joke at the time.
Do you remember who some of your first people were? So who were some of the first people?
I don't want to forget anybody. Like I hate doing that, then I'm gonna forget somebody.
Yeah.
No,
Understood.
No, I don't want to leave anybody out. But I will say, like, I recall people like early, you know, people like it went through phases where like someone would join, they'd hang out for a while, and they'd fall off. Like, I kind of miss that person.
Yeah.
Or someone new would jump in and they wanted to do it. It was great and it was scary too. So like me, this is kind of scary. Like doing something to admin a group, put myself out there. Like I remember early on, I was like, all right, I didn't know what to expect, but I don't want anybody, no toxicity, controlling it. So like if you were in the group, you remember like I try to keep everything super positive. Try to like post. If someone's in there, I'd always try to reply, give a welcome to the group.
Yeah.
That sounds awesome, man. I'm glad you're here. You know, just try to make, you know, especially if someone was willing to put themselves out there and post just to say like, you know, we hear you.
Yep.
I think I really well. I found that like a lot of things I was worried about, I shouldn't have been worried about because Tetris community is best community. Everybody like tended to be super positive. You know, you'd have the random things that happen every now and then, but overall it was fantastic. But my goal was I just wanted a place where I wanted to brag about a win and post a win. I was like, a win, post it here, this is awesome, you know. So like that was super cool to see people who felt the same way.
We got to stop down and say thank you so much. Smoke and Smile, thank you so much for 5 gifted subs. Good Lord. Cheers. And Salva, welcome, and thank you for the follow. Let's get a cheers here. We will stop down for that one. Thank you so much, Smoke and Smiles.
So supportive.
Yes, indeed. Yeah. And Salva, welcome to the stream.
Good to see you guys.
Woo. All right. Happy Thursday. Hey, happy Friday. It's basically Friday, y'all.
Basically Friday.
Cheers.
Basically.
You got your drink? All right.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna swig.
All right. Cheers, y'all.
Absolutely.
Gotta support alcoholism. That's another thing I want to talk about. I hear you're big into alcohol and
oh yeah.
Yeah, but we'll wait, because I'm enjoying it.
I enjoy a good bourbon and make it sound classy, all right?
As long as it sounds classy, then it's classy, right?
Big into alcohol? I don't know.
Yeah, see, that's fair. That's fair. Yeah. So you start this Tetris fan club, and how big did it get? I feel like.
So I might have to lean on Daddio to see where it is now. I think when I left, it was and a little. I know it was over 1,000 people, but I don't think it had reached 1,100.
That's crazy.
That's amazing. 1,200. It's 1,200.
You know, this is people who were just searching it or just heard it, and so that was good to me. I don't know why. For some reason, I didn't want to advertise. I liked how people were coming slowly in. I felt like I got to at least like meet everybody. It didn't feel like it was just like a pile of people coming in and taking over, because I wanted it to be a community where it was just like, you know, I wanted it to be a welcoming place. I didn't know what to expect, really. I just started the Facebook group. I didn't know really. I just didn't want it to be overwhelming. I could say that much. So some people were like, "Oh, you need to like throw this on these pages and everything." No, we're good. We're good. We got our group. We're fine. We're fine. They'll find us if they want to, or they'll hear it. You know, they're like, "You need to advertise it on your stream," and I was like, "It's okay. I'm not. I don't know." You know, there's something to be said. Maybe I just should have. Maybe I should have.
No. The way you handled it was right, because that way it was very not. It was very. I don't know. It was right.
I liked
Yeah.
that I stumbled upon it.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
like
Yeah.
I was like, oh my god,
That was
there's
fun, you know.
more.
Like there'd be people who, because eventually, like when I got to Twitch, and we can talk about that.
Yeah.
So there'd be other streamers I'd see who'd stumble in, and I'd be like, "Oh, look who it is! It's so and so." And I'd be like, "Hey, it's me. I'm Bald Seagull. You know me.
Hello.
You know this place. It's okay. You know."
Mhm.
Yeah, I think I'm trying to remember. Like, I think so. Obviously, like all of us, I won a game of Tetris, and I was like, "I'm good. I should stream this because people are gonna want to watch." But I didn't never was on Twitch. Like, I just heard about Twitch, but it's not like I actually took the time to jump on and learn, like watch streams and like kind of learn like what people do. But I was just kind of blown away by the fact, like I heard if I get an Elgato, my Nintendo will hook up to somehow broadcast this, and it worked. I
Yeah.
remember just like being blown away that this thing, like I'm on the internet, like people could like see me right now playing,
Yep.
Right.
and I was just sitting there watching. And I remember my first, like I didn't turn on any mic or any cam, I was just playing, and I would see the number, and it like every now and then would pop from 1 to 2.
Yeah.
I was like, but it would always stay around 1. And I was like, someone out there is watching me. They think I'm amazing. They are stuck on this. They are actually watching. That's holy cow.
Yeah.
Of course, I later learned that was me watching. You know, I was the
Yes.
one.
I was gonna say. The
But you
one.
know, I think like, I mean, I know you also, you might, I don't know if you'd be surprised or care, but I mean, I can be a pretty shy person. I won't like go pushing my way into things. So it wasn't like now I'm comfortable going into streams, chatting it up, having a great time. But at the time I was like, I don't know, what am I supposed to do here? Am I supposed to like realize I'm, you know, go to other streams, meet other people. They're just going to be as awesome as me. You know, and they're going to like me because it's kind of one of those things like, you know, I'm an older streamer, maybe like, I don't know. I would think about like why they wouldn't like me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, maybe they're just like me. Maybe it's just like, you know, why are they necessarily different?
Right.
But I mean, then later on, I learned that Twitch is like, it's great that everyone's different. I'm meeting people all over the world who have all different kind of thoughts and beliefs, and don't like each other. We have this common thing, but we're all different. So this is amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I didn't catch it at first, like what I guess the best way to gather an audience. So I was really struggling even to get to affiliate. I would just sit at that 1 and 2, and I think I did it for like a couple of months, and I was like, all right, whatever. I tried it. It's fine. I don't really care. It's not a game that's going to watch me or anything. So I think like maybe I had like a vacation, like went away for a couple of weeks. But I was always interested in listening to podcasts about Twitch. Like that fascinated me. So I listened to like what people are saying, what you got to do, and of course they'll tell you all the things that they recommend.
Who would you listen to?
It's not on anymore. I really liked a group called True Gaming, and they had a podcast every week, but unfortunately they don't do it anymore. It was a really nice, I mean, the podcasts are still on iTunes, and you know, it kind of evolved, but like I was listening to it it was just really nice. People calling in, they're like, hey, what do I need to do to get viewers? What do you recommend? You know, just like any tips, like maybe I'm struggling to, you know, one of the things they recommend is like nobody's in there, keep talking, just keep talking, and maybe we'll grab on. Don't like, you know, if you sit there like this, no one's gonna do anything. I will sit there like that, I don't care, but
I will too. Yeah, I've decided I'm gonna do it my way. You don't want to come, you don't want to come. But yeah,
don't necessarily do it the best way. One of the things like that caught on for me, you know, is they thought like you gotta do something different. You gotta do something to differentiate yourself. Which I agree with. I mean, you gotta like, you have if they're looking at a list, there's a couple of things. A, you don't want to be in a directory that has 100 people, you know, and that because
Animal Crossing,
is somebody gonna come find you? And then you just gotta do something to get them to at least click on your first thing. So for me at the time, I was watching it, I was like, all right, well, I think in the morning there's really not that many streamers. So if I stream in the morning, I think like a couple of people will click on just because there's nobody else there while playing Tetris. That's what I started doing, which worked really well with having kids too, because my kid would wake up at 6:30 or 7 and screw it, I'm not going to be streaming. So it was like I either have to do really early in the morning or really late at night. So I told my wife, like, all right, I'm going to try this thing. I know this sounds crazy, but I'm going to get up at like 4 a.m. to play video games to just see how it works.
That's how it happened?
Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
Oh,
Oh, man.
Convenience.
What a
like,
supportive
maybe you
wife.
worked late till late. Maybe you want to hop on. You purposefully woke up at 4:30 in the morning to play Tetris?
Yeah. I wake up at 4, my coffee,
Commitment.
throw the crap on, and start playing. Because
That's
I was
impressive.
like, I gotta do something like to get a couple. I wanted to get affiliate. I thought like it would be a way. You know, I was like, you just have to get 3 people. I'm 1. My phone's 2. Just gotta find somebody else. And I wasn't really plugging myself on Facebook just because for whatever reason I was just like, I don't. That's not what I want to do.
Yeah.
I don't want to like blast it on the Facebook group. But it worked. You know, a couple of people would pop in. I'd get a couple of raids, including our friend Nine Lives, who was generally, he used to stop at that time, so he would raid me every now and then. That was very helpful. He definitely helped me get to 50 viewers or followers.
Yeah.
But like that, I mean, that's why I did it, was just to try to like pass 2 viewers, you know?
Yeah.
And it worked out. So I stuck with it, and it was very actually worked for my schedule too. My wife thought it was fantastic. She's a morning person. She's always going to sleep anyways at 8 or 8:30. So she was like, this is great because you're up. It's motivating me to get up. And she'd like take care of stuff around the house or maybe go work out. Like,
Nice.
she thought it was fantastic, which was kind of funny. Yeah, like, and then, you know, so people always joke, they're like, yeah, Seagull used to stream at 4:30 in the morning. Weird. But you know, that's how I started meeting people from all over the world, because it was 4:30 for us, but you know, all across the world it's not 4:30 in the morning.
Exactly. Exactly.
So I meet tons of people from everywhere, and they were always fantastic. Like, it's just so refreshing to get on. Like, I can't like really think of many stories that I can tell you they're bad stories from Twitch.
Look, Icy here. Hey, Icy, welcome.
Which is really, really nice to be able to say. I've been very, very lucky to meet the people I've met. Very, very lucky to feel welcomed into this community, whatever it is. I mean, you guys say you came in after me, but I think we're all a community. Who cares who came here win? And just that, like, I feel like no matter what your age is, where you're from, what your goal is, like, I don't see it. I never see someone jump into a Tetris stream, start chatting, and everyone's like, oh, get out of here. Everyone's always like, hey, what's going on? It makes me want to chat more, which sometimes, you know, I think we've all been through, where it's like, I want to say hi, but I can't chat too much, so I don't know if I should say hi. But I want, you know.
Keep talking to me, and I won't be there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why I told Lex today, I was trying to explain to her my purpose for the pre-lurk that I do. Because, like, I love to say I'm lurking, because lurking is nice. I love, oh my gosh, lurkers are like the best, because that's how no one actually watches. Like, most of the time, people aren't actively watching. So the fact that if someone is saying like, okay, I pick you to be my background is great. Like, what an honor.
Absolutely.
But like a lot of times, like, I got stuff to do, man, but I want to like talk, but at any moment someone's gonna come and need me for something, and I'm just gonna have to, at the drop of, I'm not gonna be able to say bye, and then I'm just gonna be gone, and you're gonna be talking to me, and I'm not gonna be there, and I always feel bad about that. So I started saying, like, instead of lurk, it's pre-lurk, which means I'm here right now, but at any moment I'm gonna be gone.
It's a command in our channels.
So she added as a command. I love it. So because it's the thing, as a viewer, you want to say hi, but you don't want to be committed to being there because you feel bad if the person's talking to you and you're not there.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're all just trying to do it to be like, I would go, and I think you know, we talk like balance, right? So one of the things I would do when I'm walking my dog is I would throw on Twitch, even though it doesn't seem to work out as well these days, but I'd walk my dog and I try to throw on Twitch, and I would actually like try to chat, and then there's a 30-second delay there.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't really go really smooth, and you know, like you say, you always want to say hi, you always want to support. So I've learned, I mean, for me, I think I've learned, so now I just say like, just wanted to say hi, I'm watching, because I know I love it when people say that to me, and I'm totally understanding. So I'm like, what would I want? Because that's what it's all about. I'd rather someone say hi to me and say nothing, so I try to say hi.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's so much value in that. Oh my gosh. So simple, but so effective. That's my favorite.
I think it'd be super fun to watch other people watch Twitch. Just to see how are people how are people interacting? Are people because in my mind I think people watch Twitch the way I do, and I wonder though,
I should take a picture of that, but I don't want to I have it on in the background like when I'm working, so I don't want to get in trouble. But no, I'm kidding. Now that I'm working at home, it's great background noise, and I'm very fortunate. Like with my job, the type of work I do, like I can kind of pull away and chat for a couple of minutes and then go back if I want to.
Exactly.
And I love it. It's great. It breaks up the day. I don't think there's anything wrong with taking a break during work. And so I'm gonna miss that honestly if I have to go back to the office too much, because I can't really do that in the office. But such is life.
Yeah, I see. I'm the same. 50 tabs of Twitch streamers open. Exactly. It's just a bunch of people open. Yeah, it's great.
That means a lot. I think is what Daddio says, and I agree. That's what a lot of people do. I know, if I'm not at my computer, still it means a lot to have a window open to somebody.
Mm-hmm.
So
it does.
I remember that when I can. Yeah.
Yeah,
or
and now
you think you're someone's background noise.
Mm-hmm.
It just
absolutely.
I noticed that my son, my 12-year-old, the other day had 9 lives up. He's like, it's really nice just having him up in the background as he was doing his schoolwork, which was really cool. So that was awesome. So it was good to see that. And then now his friends are trying to get into Twitch streaming, and they want to come over and they want to be on the stream. And I'm like, yeah, man, come on, to be a guest on the show, talk about your show. And then they're all interested and then they want to play Tetris, and they want to know what kind of capture card. It's so cool. It's such a cool thing to be able to experience with, other my son's friends and stuff. It's I'm the cool dad who's helping you do this thing. What an honor.
Cool dad. Are you a cool dad, Seagull?
Someone said that to me in a stream because I'll totally get self-conscious at times about being hey, old guy coming in to hang out. But I remember someone said that to me. They're like, no, you're the cool dad. And I was like, all right, I'll take it.
That's exactly it. It's your brand. You and Daddio. You're the cool dads of Twitch.
I think that's what's been good too, is I realize it's there's a lot of people who play video games who are my age. It's totally fine. Who are out here. We grew up with it. We started with this, all right? We've been going at it for a while. We're not stopping now for some reason.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
And do your kids play?
So, how is being a dad with trying to stream? I know did the 4 a.m. thing work? Because you stopped eventually, right?
I did. So I would stop whenever I end up taking my breaks, including now. It's always been I've gotten overwhelmed at work. So I think it's almost 2 separate issues where sometimes if I feel I'm behind somewhere else, what's the first thing to go? And I'm like, crap, if I use that time I was streaming, I could probably catch up some. So that tends to be what happens.
And that's normally work related, not.
I would say for me more so than anything else. The kid, because there were 2 things. It's funny. There'd be work, and then there was the portion where my younger kid decided to get up every day at 5 a.m. I was like, you gotta be kidding me, because it's 4:30 to 6:30. I'm trying to stream. Right. What else can I do? What other time? But I'm not. Family always comes first for me. So. I never want to be the dad who's streaming and my kid's upstairs. I don't even know what's going on.
Daddy's making his money.
It's ridiculous.
Making money.
Just go away. It probably will come to that as they get older, where I'm like, all right, give me a couple minutes.
Oh, trust me, it will. It will.
I probably get comfortable with leaving them behind, but there's definitely I was just starting it, just getting used to being comfortable with the idea of my kids accidentally popping on camera, which they have, and just the kids are 4 and 6. They're a certain age where they're only 4 and 6 once, right? So you're not going to see me typically on weekend. If it's the weekends, I'm hanging out with them. It's a lot, and not going to use a lot of time I could use spending with them probably here. So I'd like to do a better job of like jumping on for an hour at night when they're in bed. I just don't know why I don't. Um, I don't see myself doing it like, when I could be hanging out with them, I suppose. And mind you, with 2 young kids, so I mean, let me give you a sense of the day, right?
Yeah,
Get
please.
up, let's say it's 7 o'clock. And my wife works, so she's also trying to get everything ready too. So we're trying to manage all that. So say they get up around 7. They both go to school. The older one has to be there at like 8:25. And it's pretty cool. We live close enough to the school where we can walk there. So we walk them to school.
Nice.
One of us walks her to school, their friends, while the other person drives the younger one to preschool. We get them out. Then I can work a flex schedule, but I'm typically working, 9 to 5, but it can flex out. Then they come home, you get home, 5 o'clock, you're getting their dinner and everything. Then you got to do their baths. And then I got my dog who needs his walk. So usually get home, it's about 6:37. And then you wind down, you get like an hour and a half with the kids before they go to bed. So, time can be kind of limited there. Not saying I can't make time for myself. I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. It's just not what I guess I tend to do. So, because I enjoy the time with the kids, and it's just my choice. So that's why like the morning schedules were so great. Like I would say the second, like after I took my first hiatus, I came back and I actually started doing more 7 to 9 because I realized even in even in Europe, I don't know if they're awake if I'm up at 4:30 to 6:30. Like they're still waking up.
Yeah.
I was joking with my wife. It's like, hey, I think if I do 7 to 9, like I think more people be able to watch. And she's like, I'm good with the kids right now. This was like in the summer. They're like, they're not in school. If you want to give it a shot, go for it. So that was pretty fun. I mean, working with my family is another way to try to get it done. That worked out really well too. So I don't know. We'll figure it out. But
Yeah. Well,
right?
yeah.
My question is definitely about hiatuses because
Yeah.
I took one and it was 100% intentional.
Yeah.
Were yours were you like, I'm gonna stop for now and I'll come back later, or did it kind of fizzle off? And then like, what's it like for you when you decide to just hop back on? Like, is it a good choice, or just you press start streaming? Because there's a guilt factor in taking your hiatus, like, oh, these people are here to watch me.
First time, just because I felt like, I was like, man, a couple people subbed to me, and I'm like, I feel like I should be streaming for them. I remember like a couple people like I gifted sub, like just because I was like, I'm sorry, I left. What was I gonna say? But I think that it was just, I remember the first time, I think it was just work. And that, it was work. Like with taxes, you have tax seasons where you tend to have a lot more work at once. So right now is one of my tax seasons. I could try to do more to, I guess, figure out that time. It's something I want to work on. I mentioned, I think I made a Twitter post while like time management is something I'd like to work on because I think it's important to make time for yourself. But sometimes when there's like a big project or a lot of stuff going on, I just kind of like say like, push everything aside. I have to get this done.
Yep.
So I think the first time that happened, but it was like kind of hard to get back into it too, where it was like I was done, then it just didn't feel natural to get on. Not for any like weird reason. It just wasn't. Sometimes it just was hard. Like I feel like sometimes if you're in the flow, it's like any habit. It's easy to get on and just click the on button and go. And like anything else, like maybe you're like I do a certain diet or do a workout routine or just learn some new habit. It's like once it goes, it's just like, well, I don't know, just not going to do it another day. Then that's where like the community was. Like I remember people would actually reach out and be like, hey, you just want to check in, make sure everything's good. Haven't seen you in a while. Like that's really awesome. And it would kind of been like that would motivate me to go again. And I remember I would go back and I would forget how to stream, and I'm like, none of my stuff works. How did I do this? Because I just
Twitch
everything
is hard.
along the way. Twitch is hard. I think it's important, like the hiatus is like, as long as like staying connected, I think it's good, whether you do it through Discords or like jump into people's chats. I mean, especially our community, like they remember who you are. So I think that's the big thing to me is like, even if you can't like stream yourself, just jump in and say hi to people, and they kind of, I feel like they know, and they'll come back and they remember you. And I remember my first stream back, lots of people were like, "Hey, it's great to see you. Glad to have you back," and jumped on in, and it felt great.
Yep.
The second time, so like this time, I guess where I'm trying to get back into it, but I haven't done a great job. I took some time off. I was getting busier at work, and then, not to dwell on it, my dad did pass away. So obviously time was thank you. Time was needed for that. As far as leaving and taking care of lots of family affairs. So I'm excited to get back on, jump back on. Just haven't found I'll do it occasionally when I can. I feel like now I don't really put a lot of pressure on myself to have a schedule. I'm just looking to have fun, and I'm having fun with it. So it's all what you want it to be, right? I mean, I definitely think if like your goal is to be, get the most viewers or get a partner, like being consistent and having a schedule, there's lots of right things you can do. If you want to have fun with it, like there's no reason you can't do that too. I mean, just look at, and if you can't do it all, you can still have fun with it. And so I guess that's the approach I'm taking with it right now.
Yep. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. I was thinking, and like, for example, honestly, on the weekends, like right now, like I'm taking my kids skiing in the morning, so I'm not going to do morning streams because I'm taking them skiing. So it is what it is. Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. So
that's awesome.
Maybe when it works up, but I'm having a blast with that, and it's been amazing. So
time is valuable, and because what about the community nights that you used to do? I feel like you were one of the first ones.
You were the first,
right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think what happened with that one was it was just like I would start to post occasionally. What I loved doing in the Facebook group was actually posting when I saw other people streaming. That was my favorite thing. Like, go check out this person, or go check out this person. I loved promoting other people. But then I would occasionally be like, all right, I was streaming here, and I think it might have even been Daddio and a couple other people are like, hey, why don't you give us a heads up, man? Like, I don't know.
I didn't know how this stuff works. Like, how does this work? You're telling me I can play with you? How? He's like, yeah, man, just go to Twitch. What's Twitch? He's like, I do this thing, and can you schedule it? Like, let me know. And then so he would schedule them, and then that's when became a thing.
Yeah, we used to do, it was like once a week, and it wasn't like a set day. I'd just try to give a couple days heads up, like this is the day I can do it. And we would just do the community night for like 3 days, and it was just off the Facebook group. And it was cool because I think there was a lot of people like Daddio saying who didn't know what Twitch was. Like I said, I don't want to name names because I don't want to leave anybody out, but I can think of like at least a handful of people who I know like never had been on Twitch before, and several who ended up streaming. And it like I was like, looking back, I'm like, that happened because of the Facebook group. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. So I got I think we all got to give ourselves credit sometimes, and I got to give myself credit for that. I made that happen. So
there you go.
Really did that.
Yeah. So I was happy to see it, and I appreciate like when I like I said, kind of took my hiatus. People like Daddio continuing it and trying to keep it going. So. But whether it's like the community night or like other streams going on, I mean, you can always find people out there to play Tetris with. So that's kind of like one of the things I wanted to kind of set out there to the Facebook people. They're like, well, when are you going to be on so I can stream? I was like, you can always go find somebody. Look, they're all good people. Like,
there's a whole community of them.
Well, one time, so you were doing Thursday night community game night for a long time, and then you stopped. So then I picked it up on Thursday night, and then. I stopped for a while. It just, whatever. Like you said, you just stopped for a bit. And I had Zen Timber reach out to me and said, hey, would you mind if I ran community game night tonight since you're going to be off? And I was like, yeah, man, just do it. Like, yeah, just there's nothing you don't need my permission to run a stream. But yeah, it was so cute. And like, what an honor of like, wow, like people like think it's a thing all because of a name. It's marketing.
That's definitely a thing too. Like I've learned from all this is like you got to remember just because you're not like there might be days you're feeling like nobody may be listening to me today, or nobody's coming to watch me, or it's I don't know, something's not working. But there's probably one person who is, and like they really appreciate that, and like so like like that thing like you said like. I don't know. It's good to remember those things. You are reaching people, like even when you feel like you're not. You are.
Yep. Yeah. It's a crazy thing, It's a crazy
Somebody's
thing.
looking forward to that community night, so that's cool. Yeah,
Uh-huh. Or when people would be in my chat before I even went live. I'm like, what?
that's crazy.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
Boss was in there. He was waiting. How? What? It's because they were freaking gambling. That's why. You turn that gambling on, and all of a sudden, and then give away pizza. There you go. That's another way to get followers. Give pizza away.
No way. Oh my god.
What about financial advice? No, like
That's
what?
next on our list.
Yeah, I am excited. I want to make sure we have enough time for that. What did you have anything else on Twitch?
Like, this is something I want to talk about, but I gotta be honest. Like all day, I'm like, how do you talk about this? Like, money is such like a tough thing to talk about, right?
Who?
Think
What?
Yeah,
to
kind
financial
of.
advice.
All right.
I'm not saying we,
I mean,
but I thought
I'm
it
the
was interesting just thinking about like,
Yeah.
you know, I don't know. It's like could be a sensitive subject, right?
Of course.
I don't know.
What about? Okay, go ahead, Lex. I have
Well,
questions. But you
like-
go first.
I come from a different. I'm not gonna say like I'm a 28-year-old nugget who was thrown into a very expensive education system and jobs that are paying $16.50 an hour. So when you said I have, like tax experience, money experience, stocks, these are things that were not taught to me or anyone that I know. We had to figure out credit scores on our own. We got thrown into $50,000 school. I owe $68,000 as of I think yesterday in student loans. So anything like I listened to Daddio and like his perspective on money and his budget. Hearing it from you, who literally works in it, I think you could add value to a lot of people my age because we literally got thrown into a nightmare. Where I owe 70 and make 24 a year, so it's just what do you have to say? And like what value?
That's a good perspective. That
Yeah.
is stuff I enjoy talking about. First thing is it'll be okay. It's fine.
I believe that. I really do. I do.
The second thing is you don't get it, like something like somebody who came talk to me because I've talked to people about this in the past is like you don't magically work yourself out of this either. It's up to you. So I definitely recommend in general when it comes to money and finances having a plan, being intentional about it. Like we say, I joke with people. It could be easy to be comfortable with debt, like especially like credit card debt and other debts like that. It's easy to get used to it. It's easy to accept having a balance. It's easy to accept like my loans are so big that and you're not saying that, but like my loans are so big, like what am I gonna do with this? It's crazy to say. It's like a lot of things where it's like, all right, this is what I have. This is how long it's gonna take to handle it. This is what I have to do to handle it. While I'm handling it, I might have to now. How do I handle it? Like, you're gonna have choices, and not all of them are gonna be fun. You're gonna have choices on so and so's going to this trip, or I can pay a little more off the loan. I'm not telling you not to take the trip.
Right.
It's a choice. Everything's a choice. So it's just you kind of decide like what's the biggest thing for you that makes you. Do you want to kind of attack the loan, or you're like, I'm just gonna pay that off like as I can. I still want to do those life experiences because that's important to me. That's fine too. I don't care. If you're like sitting there and you're like, but this loan's too much, you might say like, all right, well maybe I can find something else where I can sacrifice or something else to make a choice on that. That's where I guess it comes for me with loans, I guess, and like mortgages and things like that, being able to be intentional, I guess, with like extra payments and everything. It's gone a long way over time.
Right.
You're 28 now, you're going to be 30, 35, 40, 45, 50 one day. And I know, I'm sorry, it's going to happen.
You look forward to it. It's the best. It only gets better.
But I will say your later self will thank you for certain decisions you make at an earlier age.
It was all intentional, and I guess COVID kind of totally screwed that over. But
it's fine.
Yeah, but yeah, it just looks heavy. By no means in the day to day does it feel as heavy as it looks like on paper.
Right.
Do you have advice do you have advice, Seagull, for priority? And so let's say if you had, okay. So I would say the priority level I would give in like where to put your money would be number one should be reducing credit card, reducing debt first, highest priority obviously being high interest. So that's usually credit cards, right? So the lowest priority would usually be student loans because those are typically like really low interest rate, right, Lex? So like you could almost like not even worry about it because that's going to be there forever. Not forever. It's going to be there for a long time, but it's very low interest rate. So don't let that get you down. I'll just consider it an investment. It's just an investment. You're just going to pay it off. It's like a house. Kind of.
And Daddio, both of you make a good point. I think about like myself in my 20s versus like when I got my family and I think took a lot of this stuff a lot more seriously. Like, a lot of decisions become a lot easier when you got other people you're supporting. But like, I think taking time like for education on these things, just like whether it's podcasts or however you want to take it in or reading up or stuff like that, I think it could go a long way. Like, I mean, I don't want you to tell me, do you know the interest rates on your credit card and your student loan?
Right.
Do you know, I think you've mentioned before, like you're thinking about maybe a house. Mm-hmm. Do you know how you plan on getting the mortgage? Do you plan on using a mortgage broker to look for the best rates? Do you know what the rates are these days?
Right.
Do you know the difference between like the different types of mortgages, like a 15-year, 30-year, and ARMs versus fixed things? I think I found like, when I bought my first condo, I just signed the paper. I was like, it's cool. You're telling me I can take the money? That sounds good. I didn't shop for my mortgage or anything like that. So I ended up later refinancing, but at the time it's like, people will give you money. There's crazy things out there where people give you money. You can, I think cars have 7-year loans now. I definitely encourage people not to extend the amount you think you can spend on stuff just because you have a long time to pay it off.
Right.
You do it to pay it off. But I mean, these are my personal thoughts. So I find these are things that have helped me over time, but I'm always hesitant to say it too much to other people because I don't want to step on their toes. But I think for me, it's like, I do always say, I said this to my father-in-law, and I think it went a long way because I've been on both sides. The difference between having $10,000 in debt and having $10,000 in savings feels like $1 million. It's so amazing when you have an emergency and you're on the other side of it and you just know you can take care of it. Right. So, to the extent, like if you have opportunities where it's like, okay, right now is a good time because I actually don't have anything where I'm like, I have to pay for that. Like, okay, that's good. Go ahead and, something will come up. So go ahead. Like Daddio just had his issue. So like life will happen and you'll need, it will be helpful if you kind of, I don't know, it's been helpful for me to think in that manner.
Yeah.
That is fair for sure. Yeah. It's an interesting time. And I think because it's like so prevalent, like in like politics, all of that, like there's talk of diminishing $50,000 in student loans. That's a huge thing in like a bill right now. And people my age are just like, yeah, okay. It all feels, I guess, I don't know the word that I'm looking for, but
albatrossy.
What?
Like an albatross?
Kind of, yeah. It just doesn't even feel real anymore. Like,
it's just something that you're carrying with you.
Yeah,
but that's okay.
Interesting, and we're trying to be adults, and we don't know how to be adults. So I don't know.
I mean, everyone learns at the same time. Like, I mean, I got out of college. Like, I got my job after I got my accounting degree, and the first thing I went out did and bought a new car. Like, looking back, I just laugh at myself at that for now, because now I drive like my wife's car that she had since high school, and I'm perfectly happy with that. And I, I'm doing better at my job than I did when I first started, like right out of school. Things that I thought were important back then, just like, my priorities have definitely changed as far as that goes. But I mean, there's so many weird things out there. Like I never thought about life insurance until I had kids. I don't think I knew the difference in property taxes by state until I moved to Connecticut. and realized how lucky I was in North Carolina. Uh, and yeah, you know, it's definitely one of those things. More like you're able to learn about it. I think the more it just becomes something like I could listen to finance podcasts all day. So it kind of like becomes a little addiction where like it almost becomes a game where you're trying to find little ways to save money and little ways to do things. Whether it's like take advantage of work perks or I don't know, take advantage of whatever you can take advantage of because it's just convenient or cheaper. Maybe I don't have to do something because I don't know.
Look
kind
who's here now. It's Mr. Nine Lives. Mr. Nine Lives is here. Hey, Nine, and he just subscribed for the second month in a row. Thanks so much, Nine. Guest number 1. Oh man. Well, so my advice. That's great. All that advice is really good, and obviously Seagull knows more than I do because he actually listens to the podcast. That's what he does for a living. But my dumb advice of like really, really high level, but I think could come in handy later as you start to earn more, you'll need to make decisions what to do with your money. So the priority, in my opinion, should go high. It should just be to pay off debt first. So that would be your high interest credit card. And then after that, once you have anything that's like over 5% paid off, then consider yourself in pretty good shape. And don't worry about it at that point. Don't consider that to be like a huge burden because guess what? A lot of people carry debt that's under 5%. It's called a house and cars. And like those are things that people live with. But if you're paying more than 5%, then a lot of times that's a credit card, you don't want to do that. You don't want to do that. So you want to get rid of that, get out from that as soon as possible. Then once you're past that, then you want to start to do things like 401k. So I would say you would want to match or put as much as you can in your 401k that your company would match because that's just free money. And you'll want to do that. And it's also going to save you on taxes depending on if you do a Roth or not. And I don't know, people have different opinions on that. But then the next thing that you can do that's even better than a 401k, if you have an opportunity, is a health savings account. It's the only money you'll never pay tax on. Because if you do a 401k, you don't pay the taxes right then, but then you do pay them later when you take the money out. Or you do pay the money now if you do a Roth. You do pay the taxes now if you're a Roth, and then you pay it later. But the bottom line is you're going to pay the taxes on that money. With a health savings account, any money you put in there, as long as it's used for health expenses, you never pay taxes on. That's the only money you can ever do that with. And guess what? You're almost guaranteed to, at some point in your life, need. At some point, you'll need it. It never goes away. You never lose it. Just consider it the long-term savings that you'll need at some point in your life. You can put a maximum of, you can't even put that much in there in like the grand scheme of things. You can put up to $18,000 a year in 401k. You can put up to $4,000 a year in health savings account, just for a feel for scale. It's not like you can put all your money in a health savings account. You can't. So those are just like...
Yeah, I'm laughing how prepared you are. You saying you got the numbers ready.
Yeah. So and then the other thing that you would want to consider would be, and then once you make it past that, then you need, you might want to get a financial advisor to talk to you, or just do things like index funds and things. I don't know. Those are just like the basics that I know just from Mr. Money Mustache. And just like, obviously you want to pay off your high credit cards, you want to do health savings accounts, you want to do 401ks, and then after that, I don't know. I don't do stocks or anything like that. I just do index funds, but there you go. That's my...
Do you do stocks, Seagull?
Yes. I do. But I do it. It's kind of like a hobby for me. I would recommend index funds over everything. Most people would say if you are, you want an index fund because it's basically a group of stocks, right? So you're very diversified. So if you got one stock that went down, another stock in the fund might balance it out and everything. So overall, over like the last 90 years, yes, there's tons of ups and downs, but overall the stock market has gone up.
So a good, so I just thought of this as a good example of what an index fund is. So an index fund is like basically saying, instead of betting on, say, your favorite football team, like say the Dallas Cowboys, to win every year and trying to pick the team that's going to win the Super Bowl. You're just saying, I bet the NFL is going to win and the NFL is going to get bigger. And you just bet on every single team to grow as a whole. And you just say that I think this league is going to grow. And it doesn't matter who wins each year, because as a whole, this thing is going to do better. So basically, you're just betting on the economy as a whole doing better, and it through an index fund. It's like my simplistic, dumb way to put it, because you're just betting on everybody. It kind of spreads your money out. Would that be fair, Seagull?
I think it'd be fair. Absolutely. That's a good way to look at it.
Interesting.
Daddio, with your HSA, I got to tell you what we do is, because I agree with you, it's the best you can do. Like you said, it's one of the very few things you don't get taxed on either side on. But because my wife and I both work, I do the HSA, and then my wife has the 2 kids under her insurance, so she still has a low deductible plan, but I can still use the HSA.
No, that's smart. That's good. It's a good way to do it. I don't have that advantage. I'm the only worker in this house. So, but yeah, that's great.
Yeah, if you have HSA, it's got to be high deductible.
Yeah.
But yeah, HSA savings is nice.
Yeah. And then once you make it past that deductible amount, then you have deductible covered, right? So like if you consider your HSA, like if you're putting enough in there to cover whatever that deductible would be, then it doesn't matter. It's a high deductible. You've got the savings, right? Does that make sense? No? Maybe not.
I have no idea what we're talking about anymore. You both have completely lost it.
Oh man, finance talk, fun times.
Okay, we've got
funny, I know I brought this up yesterday, and I was thinking this was the hardest thing for me today. Because I don't know, at some point in my life, I went from spend crazy to save crazy.
Yep, me too. It's when I stopped working.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm so glad I've turned to more save. Yep. I actually, like, my wife yells at me. She's like, you need to loosen up a little bit. But I think the save crazy has made life for, I guess, us, for me, a lot more comfortable, because we'll have emergencies that happen around the house, and we always have an emergency fund ready for that. I live in an old house, and I swear I think we've renovated everything because we've had busted pipes and whatnot. And life happens. It's going to happen. So, I think it's very important to be ready for the unexpected.
So basically, Seagull is telling us that, man, it's okay to have a cubicle job where you're all these things that the office space taught us was boring, and it's not so bad.
Not so bad.
It's okay. You're allowed. You can do it the other. You know what? I'm going to tell this to my kids. I've already decided. It's like, you got 2 options. This is my opinion on it. You can do whatever you want. I don't know if there's 2 options, but you can do whatever you want. But if you choose something everybody wants to do and isn't in demand, you better be the best in the world at it, or you might not get a job. Or you might be able to, you can take the other route and choose something that you probably have a job that's in very high demand. There's those out there too, and you'll probably be good. You can do either one. You got to figure out at some point how you're going to pay the bills.
Yeah.
My thought on it. It's going to be pretty hard to be an average, basketball player.
Yeah.
Right.
Not going to work out.
Yeah.
Not going to work out too well.
That's right.
No, that's so true. And I think that's funny. I relate to that sentence so much because, man, oh man, I want to be famous. I want to be an actress. Like, I went to school for acting. And then one day someone was like, there's no money in that unless you're Meryl Streep. And I was like, okay.
It's hard. You don't want to crush. You don't want to crush anyone's dreams, but you just want to say, like, you're going to have to apply yourself big time. Just
right.
know that. Yeah.
Just so you know, your degree is going to be in something where you make it or you don't. What are you going to do with that? So I was like, oh my gosh. So I took that knowledge and my love for, the art of acting, and I took it to venue management. So I was like, okay, if I'm gonna enjoy performance, let's run the place that runs performances. So I did that. And then I was like, oh, wait, there's not that much money in that either. Okay. So I got my master's degree in sports administration. I was like, oh, so there's venues that are huge. There's arenas. And I was like, okay. So literally I've take what you're passionate about, take that love. Maybe there's a harsh reality to it, and, progress forward with it. So I'm super excited about my future. Maybe it's not what I saw, 10 years ago. Let's do it. Granted, we're in COVID, and my job doesn't exist right now. But there can be passion and power in reality. I'm excited about it. So
You should be.
I don't know
You
a
should
lot
be.
about. Yeah, absolutely. And in venue management, like, is there a certain path where it's like you move to different venues, like, to progress, or are they all the same? Like, how does that work? I don't know.
Yeah, there's like a union for
Okay.
mostly for the sports side of it. There are unions, and you either work for the team or you work for the venue. So you can kind of hop around. If you're a part of that union, you can go to any team you want. So granted, right now there's a huge bubble, and no one's allowed in the bubble. I actually literally had a internship with the Arizona Cardinals February of last year, and I never made it into the stadium. Freaking COVID, man. So yeah, COVID, man. So there's a way, but it's normally with what I want to do. Yeah, you apply like any other job. Say, hi, Cowboy Stadium. Can I can I hop in? So it's all gonna get resolved eventually. But holy cow, But I think there's power in progression, So it's exciting.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I was just thinking, you're like, it might not be the dream, but like, you're just starting. Like, we all just started. Yeah. So it's tons of time. Yeah. You don't have to put all in the first year.
Well, why?
Oh, you can, and maybe you can. Then you're better than me. But
No, it's not very realistic. But yeah, so it's scary, but it's exciting.
Enjoy the journey.
Yeah, exactly.
Enjoy the journey. Yeah.
Let's enjoy the journey. So speaking of the journey, we have about 15-20 minutes left with you. So I wanted to ask, like, what's next for you, both like in life and in streaming? Anything going on? Got any plans?
I mean, probably still. I think continuing to raise the kids. That's the big thing. Trying to be the best that I can on that one. Stream wise, I definitely want to stream more, but it's not like the ultimate priority. If it happens, great. If not, I'm not putting too much pressure on it. I mean, I want to stream, but I don't feel like if I get to that point where I'm back to a regular schedule, fantastic. But if it doesn't happen, that's okay. But I mean, I definitely know my wife and I want to travel more with the kids. An example, I think kid like just did a little like 1-page write up on the Golden Gate Bridge. And we were talking about like, God, it'd be so cool to bring her there. So I think that's like some of the things we want to do. Like once we can start we love traveling to different places with them, and they're getting the age where they appreciate, I think, seeing some things more. So that's definitely something we'll be out there for. We'll be looking to do that. So,
where do you want to go?
I want to see more of the parks, especially out like I've never like done the parks out in Utah, like Zion and stuff like that. I've never really done a lot of California. I want to see that stuff. I haven't, National Forest Park type stuff. I'd like to see that. I've always been East Coast. I would like to see Australia. That would be awesome.
Australia.
Yeah.
Let's do a trip. Let's do a Twitch trip.
Which trip to Australia?
What's scary is we'll do it.
Yeah. I mean, I really like the idea of like when they hear like, especially like just I'll go anywhere. So if the kids like hear about some place, I'm like, that sounds interesting. I'm all for going to check it out. So who knows what will be. But we'll see. Yeah.
Something I really was curious about was you said you've been to a lot of concerts.
Yeah. So when I was in high school, I was like concert junkie for myself.
Really? Who have you seen?
I love Dave Matthews Band. I was that guy.
There you go. Dave Matthews Band. Yeah.
I probably saw them like 15 times or something. But I'm looking at my list, so I'll read out tons of. Now, the important thing to realize is my very first concert was the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles when I was 9. First up, that was they. I think the movie had just came out, maybe, or something. They were actually touring. It was so cool because I took little posters where they had like their song.
Man, we are the same age.
There you go.
Yeah. And that movie was amazing.
Oh, it's fantastic. Gosh. But no, I listed some of the concerts, so it's a little bit across the board. But so Hootie and the Blowfish was an early one. Dave Matthews Band, Naked Ladies, I loved. Guster, Ben Folds, Lenny Kravitz, Black Crowes, Radiohead, REM, I saw Elton John. I loved Widespread Panic, Fish, Wilco. I saw Coldplay, Bryan Adams, and a couple of people I saw like small places before was John Mayer, Blues Traveler, and Jack Johnson. I got to see in small places. So those were cool. Sure, I'm forgetting a few, but I would just like. I mean, that was like one of my things in high school. It was just like, if anything was coming to town, like we had an amphitheater in my town. Like, yeah, let's go. Like that's something I don't know if I wanted to do that, but I never did it. Was like go to like random places to go see a show. I don't know if you know the Avett Brothers. Like I've seen them at a couple of different places.
Oh yeah.
And I think that might be something later in life that we do more.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
More concerts.
I'd love my wife loves concerts too. You know that's the kind of thing we'd go travel for. Yeah, absolutely. I would tell you just funny story. I guess one of my high school dates, like there was an indie band that was like playing at a club. I wanted to go see it because I was just all into these things. And I got the courage to ask this girl out because I was super shy. I didn't ask many people out. She said she got, and so I was like, looked it up, and I was like, oh crap, it's like it's like a club, where like people are drinking alcohol, and you're supposed to be 21, I think, to go. I don't know if you could be 18. I was like 15 or no, I was 16 because I could drive. I remember I emailed the band and I was like, hey, can I come see your concert? There'd be two of us. But yeah, they said yeah, and we could come, and we were on the list, and I thought it was so cool being on the list with this band when I was 16.
Yeah, heck yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, and I remember going in, they put like giant red black X's on our hands to say not give them drinks and everything. But it was funny because like it was my first time being, I guess, to a club to watch a show on a weekend. Like, the main band might not come out for a long time, right? Yeah. Like, it's not like they're going to come out at 9:00. So I think there was an opener, and they might not come out to like 12, and then maybe, I don't even know, we left like 1:30. So by the time I like dropped her off and got home, my mom was like so pissed at me. She's like, never again will this happen. Yeah.
Who was it? Do you remember? The band?
Her name was Doxy's Kitchen. I mean, they were like a small local band. I would be shocked if anyone knew who they were. Yeah.
I love it. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Anyone that you're dying to see, like any bucket list concerts?
Who am I dying to see? Gosh, I thought about that and I couldn't come up with who would I like? I feel like I would go see Dave Matthews again in the right place. Like I always wanted to see him and Tim Reynolds. I never saw an acoustic show by them. They used to tour and do that. I'd love to see that. Or like a Ben Folds, just like solo piano show. I know he started doing those like occasionally, and I missed it when it came. So that would be something I'd like to see.
Yeah.
But I can't think. Like I'm not a stadium guy. I'm not going to go for the big stadium show. I like the smaller places, like 500 to 2,000 if I can.
Yeah.
Right.
So that I'm all for.
Yeah.
So taking advantage of those opportunities when they come, I suppose.
Yeah.
When we can go out and see concerts.
I know, right? Concerts seem like, gosh, will they happen again?
They better.
Yeah, they will.
I know they all will. I say that. Eventually. They will.
Yeah.
They're gonna blow up. Are you kidding me? Like people are gonna be dying to go to these things.
Yeah, it's gonna be great. My industry is gonna boom. And then the last thing on my list is that you were a marathon man, sir.
Yeah, I was I think like late 20s, early 30s. Like I don't know. Maybe I got a little tired of going out all the time and like started like exercising more and things like that. But I just started like running 5Ks. Like I feel like some you hear this every now and then. Started running 5K and I realized I could run a 10K. I did 10K and we used to do like they still have them. I think they like we did one called the Ragnar Relay where it was like 12 people. You get 2 vans. So but you got like teams that go and do like a 250-mile race, but you keep doing different legs. Have y'all ever heard of this?
No.
Oh yeah, these were like, because this like led me to later doing half marathons and marathons. But like it was kind of like some people invited me. They're like, "Hey, we're gonna do this race. Do you want to go do it?" I was like, "Yeah, sure, sounds fun." Yeah, you'd have 12 people on your team, so you have 6 in each van, and 6 go. They run one leg, then like they hand the baton. They drive up, they run another leg, and you go for like 36 hours straight. Icy declined. Whatever. You know that.
I agree with Icy. Hell no. Hell no. So, God.
You keep going and you do like, each person does like 3 legs. And it's funny because at that point I wasn't like a really good runner. It's not like I was running marathons or anything at that time. But they were like a blast. I mean, they were like a party at the end, and it's like I walked some of it. No one cares. Like that kind of led me to like, it was just like a slow progression. And then at some point, yeah, I just ended up doing 4 marathons, including the New York City Marathon. I run the New York City Marathon. It was just kind of one of those things where it's like, go a little further, go a little further, go a little further.
Dang.
This was pre-kids and other stuff, but it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. I was glad I did it. It was an awesome way to see New York City. You go the 5 boroughs.
So cool.
Have crowds all racing around you. Like I said, I did 4 of them, so I did a couple others, but New York was the best one because it was the crowd just kept like pushing you to keep going. Like I couldn't stop. I was like, everyone's gonna laugh at me, so I just kept running, even though it was the one I trained the least for. Yeah, I did that. I think once I got to like dogs and kids, I didn't do a very good job keeping up with it.
Yeah, it didn't take long to.
It's definitely one of those things where I appreciate knowing that it was like, yeah, okay, I could do that. Yeah.
Right.
I wish I could show you the medal, but it's like stuck on the wall. I can't get it. I do show it off to everybody.
Medal and everything.
Well, yeah, that's awesome.
You have a medal for like everything these days.
Yeah, you do. Yeah. I have a medal for nothing important.
Went through and the wife and I went through like a sprint triathlon phase too. Those were fun.
Dang.
Not as much, but you do like, because she's an awesome swimmer. So we got the bikes and everything and did those. But yeah, who knows? Maybe someday. But haven't done much of that lately.
Yeah, that's fair. You're a busy guy. You're doing stuff.
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah. Kind of cool.
Dadding it up, man.
I mean, it's just it's what it is. I love it. I wouldn't give it up for anything. And really lucky to have those 2 girls, and they make my day. So it's a lot of fun being with them. I mean, now, like, especially as they're getting older and 4 and 6, and like we're getting out there, we're skiing, we're doing other stuff, and it's crazy, like, to see what they can do out there. It's just so much fun to watch. So it's been a blast. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Cool. The dad of Twitch.
Dad of Twitch. I know, but there's a lot of dads out there in Twitch. I know I'm not the only one.
There's 2 of you here.
There's 2 of us.
2 of us. There's a lot of them out there. We
3
all
of us.
There's 3.
It's so funny. I gotta laugh. It's funny because like now being on Twitter and everything, I mean, you can't help it. You see people like talking about it's like I'm 30, whatever, and there's someone who's 50 who's probably laughing at me, and there's someone, it always keeps going. But I'm like, man, like whatever, it's fun to enjoy. I mean, everyone's just all kinds of, there's a grandfather out there. I'm not going to call him out, but there's a granddad that's in the Tetris community. But I don't want to call him out.
I would love to be a granddad on Twitch. I think it'd be amazing. I want to be
granddad streamer.
I was in that morning stream, and I can't remember how it came up. I was like, "You got kids?" He's like, "I got grandkids." I was like, "All right." And he's the man. I don't know why. I'm just gonna stick with not saying his name just because I don't want to call him.
Deal. Yeah. I'll find out on my own.
Right.
Thank you for talking with us.
This has been a blast. Yeah, this has been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me. Yeah.
Very special. You're one of the OGs, and we knew we had to talk to you and get to know you, and there's so much respect for you, so thank you for doing that.
Thank you. I'm grateful that I found this whole thing, and I know now things like Twitch and Discord and Reddit and whatnot, and just doing things like this. Like, I wouldn't have done this if it wasn't, for Tetris and all this. So these are fascinating things. I wouldn't have. I wouldn't have a webcam. I wouldn't have learned streaming online. Whatever. It's we use Microsoft Teams to work. and like have channels and stuff. And I was like in my head, like Discord. I know what's going on. I'm down.
There you go, man. Yeah, you're the cool kid now.
Yeah.
Now you're hanging out with all these cool kids.
Yeah.
All right.
Cool.
Well, yeah, man. Well, we'll just are you gonna do you want to stream after this and have us raid you, or are you gonna call it a night?
I appreciate it, but I probably will call night since it's midnight over here.
Oh yeah, man. Well, I totally